But let's jump into our new Flashpoint map, Atlas.
Aatlis.
Would love you to kind of
We've
walk me
never
through
seen this map.
what were we trying to do with Atlas, or the lessons that we learned from the previous
And we might
Flashpoint
only
maps.
get teasers
Yes,
of this.
nice.
I don't know if we'll do a
Fantastic, behind
flyby.
us.
Yeah, so this is our third Flashpoint map, and when we do, one after we do the initial release of a mode, we want to make sure it's the culmination of things that we've learned over time. So I think the biggest thing with Atlas was navigation. Even starting on it early on, like the team was looking at, there's a lot more windy roads. Flashpoint was still developing, so getting a lot of feedback on it. It was a little bit harder to get onto each point, but we prioritize navigation with this map in particular through a variety of different ways, like looking at the angles of the streets and making sure they're 45 or 90 degrees, and making sure it doesn't kind of take you through this journey that's a little circuitous, or just going kind of in different ways. I think also the distinct points. Atlas kind of always had very distinct points. That was something very early on the team was looking at and making sure they felt defined thematically. And I think they did a really good job. So, should we
let's go straight
get on it?
Let's
do
go
it.
straight into the map.
So this is a spawn room, correct?
Yep. Yeah. This is one of the spawn
Love
rooms.
the piano. We all
Got
do.
nice little things of the hookah lounge in here, just nice and intimate, cool space.
There's their
And this
drums.
is our. This is a Morocco-inspired map. Yeah, well, it's not inspired. It's Marrakesh-inspired in Morocco.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. So this is
Wow.
this map's awesome.
Wow, this looks
It's
pretty.
just in general, it's way smaller than the other Flashpoint. It's just much more compact. The run times between points and spawns and everything are just way shorter. That's one big thing that we learned from the other Flashpoint maps is we need to make those run times shorter, and so that's what we really focus on in this map. So if you actually look behind you real quick, so this is really cool to me. This is how you get to the main point. You run through the space right here,
So
but
pretty.
under the space, if you could rotate and look under you, it's probably not great directions, but but essentially this is on top of the forward spawn, which is really cool, because the problem we had with Survasa and New Junk City was our forward spawns were these huge buildings, and basically you had to run around the buildings, and that's what made the run times take a long time.
Oh, so this is the forward
basically,
spawn right here?
Our team
Oh, that's smart.
forward spawns under the gameplay space right here. So if you look down a bit, your forward spawn's right here.
Okay, so it's a little hidden on purpose, so then you don't get lost.
The much shorter run times.
I love it.
This is just an ingenious idea my team, my coworkers had, not me.
Well, let's talk a little bit about this first point.
Yeah.
This one's really interesting because I feel a lot of fighting actually happens on the elevation, and then there's a big drop onto the point itself. So those first few fights, or that first opening fight.
So this is the point
kind
in
of
the middle.
Both teams are kind of rotating around each other, trying to find that first pick, and then they can kind of, because that point's a big drop. How have you found this has worked out?
This is really cool. This was a really interesting design, in my opinion. This is the station point. This will be the first middle point that everybody fights at. This high ground
they don't have enough data yet
we would
besides
normally have,
internal data
around
from
the
their own
point.
developers
That's actually
playing
this
on it.
close to the point itself, and I think that's what gives it its unique nature. It's when we have high grounds, they're usually further away from point, but it's right on top of it.
Yeah, that ledge right there is right above the point.
So it's cool because you're oh, the high ground's gonna be really strong, but if your team's on the low ground, they can't really get a good angle on you, or they have to go to the other side, but it takes a while to rotate to the other side. So it's actually you have an advantage by holding the point at the bottom, because you have a lot to rotate and work around down there. There's also basically entrances on every side of the map, on the first floor and the second floor there. So basically, you can kind of
A lot of
slip in
predictability
and
for
out of the
rotations.
point, really easily, which is really cool.
I have found if you are playing, a flanker in particular, this is actually heaven.
Oh no!
You
This
can,
point,
you're gonna love you can just rotate
Yeah,
all around.
If I'm up here and I'm having trouble, I can duck around to the right and kind of come to the other entrance, and it just works like that, because to this entrance we just have a ton of those, and it's reflected on the bottom as well, which is really cool.
This is so cool.
I also love the purple.
Oh yeah.
hits.
Oh yeah, the lighting was really important. This map actually was going to be in the daytime, but we really wanted to push just like the focal points, and we wanted to direct people with color a lot more.
Right.
And
Okay.
so we tried out nighttime, which was really funny because everybody at first was like, I don't know if like it's gonna work, but it came to, but like after playing it, we're like, okay, this is actually really cool, and feels really nice. So basically everything almost like glows with its own like
Oh, no.
unique colors and lighting. It's
The
really
colors
cool.
and the look of that is fantastic.
Yeah.
And it was
Love
a pretty great change.
Oh,
so
they did
you know,
the
kudos to
thing
the team
again.
for
I guess
the
that's
ability
really
to
good
actually
for
like get that in and make it look as
characters
pretty as it
with
does.
high mobility
We
or
might
whatever.
we might
those
do
jump
the
pad.
daytime, you know, lighting later on as like a an alternate, but we love the nighttime and just like how the navigation in particular.
Yeah,
is like,
yeah.
how do I get to each point? Where do I need to go? And that helps a lot because like these like kind of like almost point lights at the top, or these
Yeah.
like big pillars of light on each point.
It's like the
Right.
colors give that additional visual identity that we've been talking about, on top of everything else about the points that are also.
So what's this one? This is beautiful.
Well, actually, real quick, Kate, can you do a 180 and look at the resort real quick? And then if you do 180 again, and then look back at the garden, this is a good example of like how close the points are in this map compared to the other ones.
Yeah.
Like
Okay.
they're right
They're
there.
practically touching each other.
And
All three
like,
of
the
them
middle
are right
points
there.
are right here. So everything's just like much
Yeah.
closer, much tighter, much like the visual identity of them, like we really wanted to pull out. So as you can see here, essentially the point aesthetic is super different, but we also pulled it all the way out to the street. So that's something we learned from the previous Flashpoint maps, is like Servas and New Junk City, like they would have unique aesthetics and feeling on the point itself. But you couldn't really read that or see that from outside
Right.
the point. So basically it was really important for the team to essentially make them feel really unique and contrast from the street level. So like this is like pulled all the way out to the street.
So this is Garden Point?
Yep, this is garden.
Yeah. Playing this internally, there are so many angles you can take on this one.
Yeah.
I love the
Looks like it,
yeah,
yeah.
I love like
Right, that's the
all-
point right there.
all the
That
aesthetic, like in the
part.
back half of it too, just the water and the
Interesting point.
vegetation and
Okay.
everything. But
Definitely unique.
how you're able to navigate this one, you know, if you are a character of high mobility, has been a lot of fun.
Oh yeah, like high mobility characters will like this point a lot. This map's really cool because one thing that we learned from old Flashpoint maps that we really wanted to push as well is we wanted every single point to feel very different from the others because sometimes we felt like we didn't have variety in some of the other ones, and so we
Oh, and
really
you
pushed
can go
them.
behind there
style
too for a
variety.
mini.
Yeah,
Oh,
so
that's pretty
so
smart.
this one like feels really good for some heroes, but then not as good for others, and then we kind of just tried to like switch it up for each point.
This one's kind of like a combo, I think, though, because you
Oh, yeah.
have not only do you have a lot of like options if you do have that mobility to wrap around, and there's a lot of different angles. There's also some like longer sight lines too, right?
yeah.
There's some like on the high ground, like looks down into the point, so just can do well here too as well.
Yeah, I would say all of them are mixtures of that, but then we kind of like push and pull a little bit,
Okay.
like for certain heroes and certain
Which is really great.
points.
What do you think
Able
the
to,
weighting of this one would be in particular?
healthily switch characters in the map when necessary.
Definitely mobility, but also like when designing all these, we want to give enough cover and we want to give enough to play around for your brawl tanks as well,
Right,
which is like
yep.
this recessed area with the walls. Like you actually like pretty safe in here. Like at first, I was thinking like, oh, like
First.
Junker Queen like might not be that tough here, but like with these
A lot of cover.
yeah, like a lot of cover here, like rotating around this pillar. Like if you're defending center point, you have a lot to run around, and then also she's pretty strong like near the doors as well because it's like much more like tight knit near the entrances and exits to the point.
Oh, there's a
We
froggy.
got frogs.
Frogs,
Those guys.
Super cute.
which I
Oh,
have.
he's doing a little dance.
I have a little fun fact. I think they were one of our developers, Taki, had made some frogs for a rainy day skin that we didn't use, and looks like we got to reuse the little guy on the
Awesome.
map. So we got some frog friends.
So these are reused
on
assets
the
that were
garden- on the
originally going to
garden
be
point. I love
for
it.
skin.
Just a little dance.
That's so cool.
Oh, and that umbrella you see from right there, it's a good if you look up. What the heck?
Oh, there's another little frog.
Hey, he found his spot. Okay.
He's good. He's like, I'm staying out of the way.
But sorry, what was?
What
I was
the
gonna say
heck?
is, like,
I
the
love that.
umbrella,
He's just like, what the
if you
heck?
look up, like that's an example of we wanted you to see exactly where each point was. Like, it's like we know a lot of people aren't going to look up often when they're playing.
Right,
the game,
but the
it's just, like,
color
a nice
aspect,
visual,
yellow
like,
versus blue, it's
you
very
can
easy to see
everything
that.
from, like far away.
Even
Well,
if you're
why
not
don't we
looking
actually
at it.
like head over to that point?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's one of the ones
I was going to ask. I was like, what is the
It's a pretty
umbrella?
interesting one in terms of. It was probably the toughest one to get right, I would say.
Yeah, this one was interesting. I remember playtest. It was kind of a lot of push and pull, and it didn't feel quite right. And like it always felt like a little too favor towards one type of hero than the other. But I think we came to like a nice spot.
So what's the name of this point?
This is Town Center.
Town Center.
And so this and the Bazaar, which we'll look at a little later, is cool because this is our like old town aesthetic where we wanted to have like really a lot of the old like Morocco like feel to it.
That's why the rocks are kind of incorporated there too. Yeah.
Whereas the resort, which you'll also see later, and the gardens, which we just looked at, are more of like the modern like
Future
Overwatch future-esque. And so these ones are feel like much more old.
Yeah, the thing that's challenging about this point, if we actually just like go,
they're probably
going to
add some glows to this.
The point itself is kind of encased in this building.
Yeah.
So to get onto
entrances
this
as well.
point and actually cap it can be, it's a big commit, right?
Yeah. So this one was interesting too, because like this is the one I would say this is like probably a little more like brawler favored.
Wow, this is super
than others.
small.
Like we still have like some.
I'm guessing
high
it's
grounds
all
and,
the
like,
inside
sight lines
section
for
here.
like poke comps to kind of use. But I would say that it's pretty like nice to be like a
unless if they're gonna do it with the outer border,
run around and beat people up around the pillars. But yeah, this was
I would
cool
imagine
'cause,
it's only gonna be in the
basically
intersection right there.
the structure was there for a long time, and the structure felt good, and it's just kind of like playing around with the outside of
right, because wasn't the original teaser for this map was that right there?
Feels good for this point.
Yeah, it had to
I
get
think
opened
so.
up quite a bit. I think the doorways were a little bit more closed in previously, and just like more space overall around it. It's still one, I think its identity is one of the strongest ones in terms of how you have to play around it though.
It's really interesting because that's what we were really focusing on. Well, I say we, but my coworkers worked on this map, but it was like it's
the team's a team, so yeah, he still works.
Really focus on it in our play test, and we really talk about like, hey, what comps work, and we want to make sure that like, hey, if I'm like Ash, like does this feel good, or is this like favorite brawl a little too much? And at the end of the day, we want to create like really interesting shapes and really interesting play spaces that feel different and unique, and we try to push it a lot for this point.
Yeah.
I also see all of the where you're talking about like having those tall entrances and like where you're like, okay, this is the sight lines, this is where you go. All of those,
by default bigger. Like all doors, all hallways, everything's just bigger by default. Just that's something that we learned from the old Flashpoint maps as well.
Is there another point this way?
See those little sprays
so
there?
we can probably go to the Bazaar now.
Oh, cool.
Go faster.
Do you love how the lighting is just like taking you back to this point?
Yeah.
Oh, I love this jump pad.
Interesting jump pad.
Okay.
Yeah,
So this goes over that wall.
We love jump pads, but this is funny because it's like, I feel like at first we're kind of like we don't want people to have big fights outside the point like this. Like I'm kind of.
It happens around this structure.
I was gonna
now,
say,
right?
I was say I'm going against my word a little bit. Like normally it's just like we don't want people to fight out here.
Yeah.
Except for here.
People like fighting on the space so much that it just like stayed in there. And like with the jump pad, it's just
like
like
jumping up, jumping down,
really
going
fun,
around.
It's a really fun space to fight in,
Yeah.
and you don't have to fight in it. So if like you get annoyed, you're like, I'm just going in the point, you know.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of like an optional, like your teams can choose to fight out here type of thing. It's pretty cool. But
how has the point played internally? Because you're talking about everybody likes to play on the outside. How is this point played?
Oh, there's a jump pad there too. And I'm guessing
like,
Another one.
that T
it's one of those things
section
where, like,
is the
sometimes
point.
people fight out front, but like oftentimes people get into the fight.
And
This is a really cool point.
should get you on that
because,
bridge right there.
If we look at the point,
It's
right
also
here,
a very
so,
interesting point.
you have the high ground on the opposing side, and the nice thing is like on the point itself is like kind of like a unique shape where the sides of it kind of go down into like this underground recessed area that feeds out under where you are here.
Okay.
And then you also have this high ground that's not too high next to you, so like mobile heroes like
this is
Bast and things
connected
like that
to the
can jump
outside
up.
Up and down, up and down.
Yeah, so like the three levels to it, I think is actually really interesting. Like I like this point a lot.
I think what happens here the most more than any of the other points on Aatlis is the full point gets utilized.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I feel when we're on this
okay.
one. It's like someone's
That
going to be
makes sense.
in the high ground on the back, someone's going to be high ground on the front, someone's going to be like the side entrance coming down, surprise you from the bottom.
lot
Like,
more
It can
chaotic.
be really, really engaging.
I love that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really cool.
I love all the screens, all the little details, you know, as they've come in. Yeah.
And then we have one more point. Am I counting correctly? Okay.
We go to the resort, which is our
Beautiful point.
our other modern point.
I love that little.
This cool little globe.
I think that's the globe right there. Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
this
so
kind of
this
looks
one
like.
is this one feels again
a
like
hotel.
really different than the other points as well. Very, very resort
There's a jump
modern.
pad here too. Oh yeah, this
Like
was
you
the
see
other
the
jump pad
giant
we saw.
sails above the point from like really far away. It's like really
Yeah.
that's the other thing. It's just like really easy to identify these points from far away. Like or going to the resort and it's just like oh okay like I know which one that is. You can see it from many different angles.
Yeah, and the gameplay on this one's also a little different too. You know, on the point itself, there's these two big pillars that kind of like dictate a lot of like the cover on the point. And then you still, just like we just saw in the Bazaar, there's like that back area of high ground again that can, you know, allow a lot of different heroes to play in different places.
Yeah, so this one's interesting because this one is just like we have this high ground in the back, and it's like a lot of high ground. It's at the back, but you're pretty exposed. There's not a lot of cover back here, and then we have the two giant pillars in the middle for people to play around. And this is just, and then you have like the staircase back there, so you can kind of dip
cool.
it. Like if you're on the main point, you can kind of go back and go up the stairs and kind of get up to the people on the sides. And then the sides here that kind of connect towards the main entrance. And so this one's just.
Oh, I
like,
didn't
has a
realize
really
it was
unique
also
feeling
floating in the
to
water
it.
right there. That's pretty cool.
And this is
Well, not
just a
floating,
fun
but,
point
like,
to kind
there's
of play
pillars in the
around.
water.
And I see fights happen in different spots like every single time we fight on this
And that's
map. Like
sand on the
sometimes
bottom right
it
there.
happens like where the big waterfall is like in the big room over there in the back rooms up
Yeah,
there.
they kind of
people
make
fight
these
a
look
lot.
like
sometimes they
ships,
fight
like
like
actual
the back edges, and sometimes
water,
people
and
fight
that's
on the
pretty
point
cool.
itself. It's like
Boats.
very, very unique in that way.
I love the wood panel kind of feel.
Yeah, it
like
looks awesome.
It's really, really nice.
No, like, all the details are.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, this
so-
bar at the top is gorgeous. Look at that view. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah,
Who would
that
not
view's
want to
awesome.
see that? Yes.
Oh.
Yeah. No, this point, I think it also just feels like color-wise really easy to identify, not only from the outside, but also like just like I think the lighting on it really highlights all the heroes really well.
Oh yeah, I love how the the nighttime lighting came together. It really gives everything a stronger identity.
So, what would you say, you know, moving through Aatlis, like where some of those lessons learned with, you know, we're trying to do better job of navigation in terms of highlighting grand entrances, also just like in terms of like how the roads you're on. Where do you find fights are happening more? Are they happening more
Is it
on
where the
points?
jump pad is?
How's this map playing out overall?
You still see fights happen on the way to points, but I would say that you would see that more with teams that choose to do so, which I think we're fine with that happening.
Like holding forward more or something?
Yeah, which is fine, but like what we don't want happening is teams that don't want to fight in the middle and it's kind of getting picked off and things like that. So just since the routes to like each point are like so much like it's way closer. I don't have the exact numbers, but like
Oh yeah, it's definitely way closer.
many seconds like quicker, many meters closer. Everything's just like way smoother. And I think that was the biggest complaint of our previous maps. The run times were too long, so it's just
I
like
felt like they were
make
just
them,
too big.
as
Is
quick
what
as
people
possible,
felt.
also having these 5 control points.
That's
And,
it.
But it also
Yeah,
helps
A lot of
with
fun
the
to see
reworks
it's
that they did on the
developed,
2 other
this
maps.
map is coming out, you know, very soon.
Everything's
For
more
people that
open
haven't
and
obviously
obvious.
played it yet, what are some heroes you think would work well here?
I mean, everybody does.
Everybody does,
It's
yeah.
a cop-out answer, but like
It's definitely looks like
what are
Rush
we
Cop.
commonly seeing though? You know?
I mean, you can play whoever you want. I see like Lucio's have like a ton of fun on here. There's
It's a very fun Lucio map.
Yeah, it's a fun Lucio map.
Yeah.
They don't have enough data yet,
At
though,
first, I was
so-
like, like that's one of the things too. Like we test out like brawl comps a lot as well. So like you have a lot of options for brawl comps. So some of like the longer sight lines and things we give like players to play around a lot more. Like for the resort map, we had the 2 big pillars and then like the stairs in the back. You can kind of push people on. And you can kind of like rush a lot of those spots. So I'd say like it's pretty viable for most people, which kind of the goal for us to kind of